Hey there, it's John555, and today let's talk about the third episode of Stateside Scramble, which is season 18 of Jetlag the Game. The episode is given the title, It's 5 o'clock everywhere, and which is obviously an allusion to the phrase, It's 5 o'clock somewhere, because this is the episode where Ben gets drunk. And literally, the summoner literally has Drunk Ben returns. And most of this actually occurs during the rest period, because they decided that because of when they did their challenge, which was to get a team member drunk on Kentucky bourbon, was that, well, it's at the end of game day, people want to see Drunk Ben, so let's just hang out in Paducah doing some stuff and showing off Drunk Ben, and that's what they did. And in all honesty, I just love that as a creative decision making for the episode. Personally, I don't like drinking and people getting drunk and all that, but I will admit, from a creative standpoint, say, you know what? No stakes now, we're in the rest period. Yeah, why not? And you know what? It actually worked. And also, can I say something? I think Ben is basically just the epitome of a happy drunk. No matter what he does, he's happy. It just, every time this occurs, this is just what it seems like. But anyhow, like obviously expected with Ben and Adam's decision to go to the Gateway Arch to claim Missouri and take a picture to identify a landmark, they obviously got it correct. One, because I actually voted in the poll and I got that and I knew which national park was. But two, some national parks don't have as many iconic locations or they got similar locations, like based off of where they were in the country. Yeah, maybe if they went to South Carolina for Congress, that would have been pretty distinct. There's not too many parks with swamps like that. But like if they went up to Kentucky for Mammoth Cave, I don't know, that would have been a bit harder to pull off. I mean, yeah, there's some iconic locations in Mammoth Cave, but the thing is, if you don't know Mammoth Cave, you might just guess Carlsbad, Wind Cave, if you don't know the distinctiveness of each cave system. Indiana Dunes, okay, people might have guessed that because of Dunes from, oh man, that would have been the first, that would have been Battle for America. Wow, that was many seasons ago. But yeah, I'm going on and on about this one thing, but it was a very smart decision on which park they chose, because sure, there's another famous park with an arch that's called Arches National Park, but man, does the delicate arch look very different than the Gateway Arch. And they actually did express in the episode my same things like, why is it a national park? Yeah, historical park maybe, but there's like no natural features that park is protecting, so it's missing one of those categories. But you know what? It's all political. No, seriously, national parks have to be designated by Congress, and so that does sadly put a political spin to a park getting designated, especially I feel like nowadays, where every state wants to have a national park, it seems like. Which I can understand why, but we're getting off track from here and there. But I gotta say, this episode, they get some pretty bad pulls for Sam and Amy in this episode for cards. Because every card pull kept on being near where Ben and Adam are. Which is good for them, not so good for Sam and Amy. Though, I definitely, doing 1% for the minimum Massachusetts, doing 1% of Power Review's route while holding a lemon between their legs, it was pretty hilarious. And also too, looks like they're going to be in St. Louis at the same time briefly, based on what we see at the end of the episode, as Ben and Adam are returning to St. Louis to drop off their rental car and then fly where they need to go next. While Sam and Amy were struggling to find good connecting flights based on what states are available and to connect to what they are to claim. Sure, they have their private card for Washington State, which sure, but they did pull another private card in this episode at the start of the new game day that we see in this episode, and that brings Iowa into the board for them. So they are flying into St. Louis hoping they can get Iowa and then hop over and get South Dakota, which that would make a chain with Illinois and Minnesota, North Dakota, would be enough to connect it up to Canada and the rest of and that means connecting up to Vermont and Massachusetts for them. That would be a pretty, if they get lucky with some carpools, but they've not been lucky so far. Because after all, the carpools near the end of the episode were Oklahoma and Alabama. Not really beneficial for them. So yeah, overall great episode. I enjoyed it. I just feel like episodes 1 and 2 were slightly stronger, just in terms of gameplay and all that, and more, some of the more creative decisions in playing, I think, were done in previous episodes. Well, this episode felt more like it was just finishing up from what we saw in the last episode and setting up the next episode. And that's alright, because we do need these episodes to connect things together. Because while they don't script anything else, so at least they say they don't, they're still going to cut things in a way that's going to be more interesting. And sometimes you gotta cut things to connect things up. Does that make sense? Because I hope it does, because this is what I'm ending my review of It's 5 o'clock everywhere. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.